In this lesson on skills review, we're going to look at the order of operations. And the reason why it's important is that we need to agree on how, if there is more than one operation in an expression or an equation, we need to be able to agree on which order to do the operations in so that we all have the same answer. And some of you may recall from your school years how you had a way of remembering this, and you might have called it BEDMAS, or you might have called it this, PEMDAS, if you were in French immersion. And there are other different ways of remembering it, but these seem to be the most common ones that students use. And this is the agreed upon order. So the first one is parentheses, otherwise known as brackets, or any other grouping symbols. And we'll talk about grouping symbols in a couple of the examples as well. The second step, the second order, you'll do anything, any exponential expressions. And then the third order is multiplication and division done together, working left to right. So notice in BEDMAS, the D comes before the M, dividing comes before multiplying. In PEMDAS, it's multiplication before division. Really, they are one single step, not um, different order. So whichever comes first when you're going left to right, whether it's multiplication or division, that's the one you do first. And then the final step is addition and subtraction, also done together, working left to right. So let's look at a couple of examples. And again, you might want to try the examples on your own first. So you might want to press pause and then check if your answers are correct, okay? So in this first example, I've got 6 squared minus 40 divided by 2 cubed times 3 plus 7. So a dot in the between two numbers represents multiplication, not a dot down at the baseline level, but one that's sort of in the middle vertically of the numbers, okay? So in this equation, there are no grouping symbols or parentheses. So let's take a look at all the exponents. And we have a 6 squared, which gives us a 36. For subtracting, which happens later, we've got dividing, which happens before subtracting. But the next thing here is that 2 cubed. So let's just write down what we've got. Minus 40 divided by 2 cubed will be 8 times 3 plus 7. So we've taken care of the exponents. So now let's do any dividing and multiplying in order from left to right. So we can ignore that subtraction piece and the addition piece for now and go into the dividing and multiplying. So we'll still have the 36. We're still going to be subtracting something, but we've got 40 divided by 8, which is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So it'll be 36 minus 15 plus 7, which will give us 21 plus 7 is 28. See, if we changed the order here and added these first, we would go 15 plus 7, which is 22, and 36 minus 22 would give us 14. So it makes a difference to the answer, the fact that we do addition and subtraction together, working left to right, and not in a different order, okay? If you are doing a question like this, I don't expect to see all of these steps. If you can do more than one step in your head at a time, that's great. I'm okay with this type of thing with you going straight to the final line. But don't use a calculator for these types of questions at this stage yet, please. So if we look at question 2, we have negative 6 squared, and if you were in class on Friday, you'll remember our discussion about how to handle that. And remember, that's negative 6 times negative 6, so that's going to be a positive 36. And then I'm subtracting, and within the brackets here, I've got a 7 minus 9 that I'm squaring. So I need to do what's in the brackets first, and then the exponent part of it. So 7 minus 9 is negative 2. So that's negative 2 squared. And then there's no operator symbol shown here where you've got two sets of parentheses with no operation between, you're multiplying. So that's -2 squared times -4. And it's okay that even though here I did the brackets, that I did this exponent first because it's not related to that one. I could do different parts so long as I make sure that now in this step I continue on in the correct order. So I'm going to do that -2 squared first, which will give me a +4. So I'll have 36 minus +4 times -4. Well, a +4 times a -4 is a -16. So I've got 36 minus -16. When I'm subtracting a negative, remember that's like adding. So that will give me, I'm going to add 16. So that'll give me 46 plus 6, 52 as my final answer. And again, if you've got strong mental math skills, you might not write down quite as many steps as I'm writing down here. Okay, if we look at the third question here, I've got 2 cubed minus 12 divided by 7 minus 15. This horizontal line represents division. In a way, it's also a grouping symbol where we're grouping the numerator separately from the denominator. So let's do the numerator first and the denominator, let's do them separately, and then we'll do that divide. So it's almost as though the numerator is in brackets or parentheses that we can't see. So the numerator, I've got 2 cubed, which is 2 times 2 times 2, so that'll give me 8 minus 12. So that'll be -4. And in the denominator of that 7 minus 15, so that's a +7, subtracting 15, which will give me a -8. A negative divided by a negative is positive, and 4/8. So we could write it as 4/8, or we could divide numerator and denominator both by 4 and get 1/2. Anytime that you've got an answer in fraction form, it always needs to be reduced to lowest terms, and most of the time you will not convert it to a decimal. Okay, question 4 has an extra twist in that it has absolute value symbols. Okay, so we've got -5 times the absolute value of everything that's between those two vertical bars. So that also acts like a grouping symbol. Okay, the absolute value can be a grouping symbol. So treat it like brackets or parentheses. So I've got -5 times the absolute value of, and within that grouping symbol now I have a set of parentheses, which is a grouping symbol again. So I've got 7 minus, and then 20 minus 8 is 12. Okay, so that equals -5 times the absolute value. 7 minus 12 is -5. The absolute value of -5 is +5. So we've got -5 times +5, and a negative times a positive gives me a negative answer, and it'll be 25. Okay, so a few steps in that one. Treat the absolute value symbol as though it's an outer set of brackets. And this is a very brief lesson, and check your email note for which questions from the textbook we're working on with this lesson.